Okay, how are you? My name is Rusty Humphries, and this is the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. We got a good show. Let's get some folks started. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, one of my favorite people on the planet. His name's Mark Young, and he does an incredible podcast with Chuck Woolery. You know, Chuck Woolery from the Wheel of Fortune and Love Connection. You know, I'll be back at 2 and 2. Anyway, they do a great podcast called Blunt Force Truth. I talk about them a lot here on the show. And they got themselves involved in a riot. Oh, yes, they did. Yes, they did. And they got video. I'll be sharing that with you in just a couple of moments here on the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. While we are waiting for Facebook and everybody to catch up to us, do me a favor, would you please? Check in. I want to know who you are and where you watch it from. Like George, for example. He's checking in from Seattle, Washington. Hey, George, that's my old stomping grounds. Actually, I grew up in Des Moines. Not Des Moines, Des Moines. That's when you know that you're local. So check in. We'll say hi to everybody in just a couple of seconds. Then we're going to play some video. We're going to do the official show open in a second. Donald checking in. Robert, West Bay. All right, here we go. The official show open. Here we go.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. That's a direct order. Do it now.
He's been put down, ripped off, cut open. Now, he's unleashed. The American Insurgency starts now. This is Rusty Humphries Rebellion Radio.
Hello, my brother from another mother. How are you? My sister from another mister. Hello, welcome. This is the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. I happen to be Rusty Humphries. We are powered by the wonderful folks at Right Wing News. Coming up in a couple of minutes, we're going to talk with Mark Young. He is the co-host of one of the finest podcasts out there. It's called Blunt Force Truth. And Mark is that guy, and he hosts the show with that guy. That's Chuck Woolery. And we're going to talk with him about a little run-in with Antifa he had just a few minutes ago, and I'll play the video with that in just a second. Before we get started, how's your health? Do you get anxious? Are you moody? Do you take probiotics? Well, there is some new research, and the new research shows that the wrong bacteria in your gut can make you feel anxious and can make you stressed and irritable and even sad. And there are countless articles out there right now that have some surprising studies, including one, a breakthrough study from Oxford University that shows a certain probiotic and that bacteria can help you improve your mood and how you deal with anxious feelings and stress and even sadness. And that's why Probiogen, stress and mood balance probiotic, is specifically formulated, my friend, specifically formulated to help you improve your mood. It's such a shiny box. There you go. It's nice and shiny. It's pink. It's green. It's lovely. Probiogen uses the right probiotics and the right herbs, plus minerals that influence the release of neurotransmitters to help improve your ability to cope with stress and anxious situations. So if you're feeling sad or stressed, do yourself and me a personal favor. Go to Walgreens or to a Harmon store. Get your Probiogen Stress and Mood Balance Probiotic. You will be so glad you did. It's in the pink and green box in the supplement aisle. Probiogen Probiotic Stress and Mood Balance Probiotic. Okay. Great product, by the way. Go get it. Mark Young coming up in a couple of seconds. Before we do, let's say hello to some of our friends. We have a lot of nice people checking in today, like Pamela. Hey, Pamela. She is checking in from Milwaukee. Jason checking in. Fernando, Supreme Day, my best friend. Good. Robert is from Texas. Donald says, hey, buddy. Ruth is from Arizona. Randy's there. I'm on. I love your show. Randy, you rock. Thank you. By the way, everybody, if you're watching, do me a favor. We are trying to go around those SOBs in the mainstream media and the social media giants that are trying to shut down conservative messages. So do me a favor. You got to share this video right now. You got to share it on your page. Also, give me some hearts, some thumbs ups. We got to get what they are looking for, which is engagement, you being involved. So your comments, your check-ins, your shares, all of that, very, very important. Also, we want to welcome the nice folks at Liberty One TV and the nice people who listen to and pay and are supporters of Chuck and Mark at Blunt Force Truth. Everybody check in right now, if you would, please. Cecilia is from Durham, North Carolina. Gail is from Maine. Mike is in Tennessee. Wade is from Sandpoint, Idaho. Kevin is in Northern Alabama. Cindy is in Colorado. Jody says, sup? Ohio in the house. Yo, sup? Martin says, Rusty, turn up your microphone. Okay, I'll turn up a little bit more. I don't want to crank it and blow everybody out, but how's that? Maybe the testing 1, 2, 3. Is that better for you, Martin? Is that better? Donald says, what about Kansas City, Missouri? I love Kansas City, Missouri. Jack is an Aussie deplorable living in Henrietta, Texas. Kathy is in Carthage, Tennessee. Fred, hello, my brother from another mother. How are you? Carr is in PA country. Lyndon is saying howdy. Kim is in St. Joe, Missouri. Pamela says happy anniversary, Patriots. Lana is Marouge, Louisiana. Dennis is aloha, Rusty, deplorable veteran from Hawaii. Let's get ready to things. Let's get things going. John wants me to put a shoe on my head. I don't have that kind of free time. All right, let's go and see. So earlier today in the Detroit, Michigan area, Steve Bannon went to go give a speech. And my friend Mark Young, we're going to hear from him in just a minute, went out with the TV crew and just wanted to talk to people and find out why they're angry or what they had to say. So we're going to watch a little bit. Some of the videos, there's a couple of them here on the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. Let's go to this right now.
Go, Michael, come on. Come on, back go. You move away. You move away. We're trying to talk to you. Get the fuck out. Okay, get the fuck out. First of all, okay, now you need to leave. You need to leave. It's time for y'all to go.
They want our attention.
Get out.
Over here. This is where the protest is.
Serving us.
Right, Joe.
Please.
Go the fuck home.
Okay, wait.
All right.
No. Then you're going to leave. You're going to leave.
Come on, Scorch. Who's with you? This guy here. We're trying to get all this in your camera. People. We're all going this way, okay? Yep. We're trying to go this way.
Get your staff and get on somewhere, please.
All right, Joe.
Okay, they're not happy. Oops, they're not very happy. Okay, not very nice people. All right, and by the way, I want to apologize for the swearing, but I should know better. Anytime you get a liberal around a camera that's not trying to get paid, well, these people are getting paid for doing the protesting, I'm sure. But they can't help it. They can't help but do the cussing. But let's see a little bit more here. I saw one that was interesting. He's got a bunch of on his Twitter feed, and let's just see this one here. We're just gonna.
BFT works for Goebbels. 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 BFT works for Goebbels.
Okay, what he's talking about? BFT is Blunt Force Truth. That's their show.
Works for Goebbels. BFT works for Goebbels. BFT works for Goebbels. BFT
Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi.
Yeah, they don't even know who Joseph Goebbels is. And by the way, I'm not positive, but isn't Joseph Goebbels dead? I'm just, I don't think that he's still alive and running propaganda for the Nazis. I could be wrong. And by the way, so when is it, just because, again, you disagree with these idiots, you're working for Goebbels? And by the way, I wonder how many of them have actually listened to the Blunt Force Truth podcast. I'm sure all of them. Okay, let's get one more, and then we'll go to Mark Young here. We'll give him a call, see what he has to say. Let's go more from the rally, the riot. They do have a beat. Danger, danger, there's a fascist in the White House.
Drive him out. Danger, danger, there's a fascist in the White House. It's up to us to drive him out.
Okay.
Danger,
it's up to us. To drive him out. I'll tell you what, usually they do the exact same chants all the time. That's a new one for me. I kind of like that. So I'll give him credit. Let's get a hold of our friend Mark Young. He is the co-host of Blunt Force Truth. And good dude. And there we go. Mark Young, how are you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
Oh, good to see you. It's good to see anyone who's not trying to beat me with a picket sign.
Now, was it really that bad? I mean, we saw him yelling in your work for Goebbels and stuff. I thought you were
I do work for Goebbels.
You're a successful businessman. I didn't know you worked for Goebbels, but
I do. I haven't. His checks are bouncing.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Now, see, you can't do that. They'll take that out of context. Mark Young admits on a popular, very, very popular TV and radio show, Rusty Humphries show, that he works for Goebbels. You can't do that.
Oh, Rusty's people are insane.
Yeah. So it's okay. So what happened? So Steve Bannon went to go give a speech in the Detroit area?
So Steve Bannon was here in the Detroit area. He was a guest speaker at the Macomb County Republican Party's Unity Dinner. Okay. There is a certain bit of humor in having a Unity Dinner with Steve Bannon. Come on. Come on. It's not lost on me. But anyways, the numerous different crowds all converged on the place called Andiamo's, which is a nice restaurant owned by a very nice fellow. Okay. And of course, he was taking a lot of abuse for allowing this to happen.
How dare he?
So at Blunt Force Truth News, because Chuck Woolery is always trying to find some way to endanger my life.
Yes.
So I'm only kidding, Chuck. Not
here.
Really.
Let's pretend he's here. I'll put his picture up there. Go ahead. Go ahead and talk about Chuck.
He is watching at this very moment.
Hey, Chuck. Go ahead. How you doing? Good to see you. Anyway, so Chuck, what did he want you to do?
So we decided we would go down to the Steve Bannon speech.
Okay.
And that we would have we would attempt to interview these people. Now, what our goal was, is we went down with the camera crew, and our goal was to find out why these people were angry with Steve Bannon.
Okay.
And we're going to post that whole video. We're going to get that video up, and it'll be on bluntforcetruth.com tomorrow. Here's the thing, Russ. We interviewed, 20 people. And out of all of these people, not one of them could tell us what Steve Bannon said. So they would say he's a racist, he's a homophobe, he's a sexist, he's a Nazi, he's a member of the KKK. Mm-hmm. So then my following question would be, okay, and I was being very polite. You know me.
Of course,
I don't
you're
start
very
trouble, right?
No, you're a pussycat. You're a lover, not
Absolutely.
A fighter. Yes.
So I would ask these people, okay, well, that's a terrible thing for Steve Bannon to do. Could you tell me what was the comment that you heard him say that indicated he was a member of the KKK? Well, I can't tell you an event. Could you tell me the one that when he was a sexist? Well, I don't, with a camera in my face, I can't tell you.
Right.
Well, what makes you, no one could answer this question. Then I would say, well, how do you get to know this? Well, that Breitbart website of his is nothing but hate speech.
Really?
And I'm okay. Could you tell me, was there certain articles on Breitbart? Is there certain parts of Breitbart? Well, I've never been to the website.
So they've never even been there.
So you've never been to the Breitbart website? No, I don't need to go to the Breitbart website because I've read articles on other websites like Media Matters.
Right.
That told me that the Breitbart site was all about Nazism. So I don't want to go spend my time going and reading about Nazism because I have Media Matters.
Right.
And, if you have Media Matters, what else do you need?
Nothing at all. So, okay, so you went and you asked these people questions. Were they pretty well, other than not knowing much about Steve Bannon or Breitbart, they knew you were a Nazi publication.
They did. They kept yelling at me that I was a Nazi and a racist. And it was interesting.
How did they know anything about you? I mean, I know you're very well known in the Detroit area and across the country, but I'm guessing they don't listen to a lot of conservative voices.
No, these people didn't know who I was, and they said, "You're a Nazi." And I'm like, okay, what did I do that would indicate that I'm a Nazi? You're here spewing hate. What did I say that was hateful? You know what you're doing. No, I'm asking you, what did I do that was hateful? What did I do that would indicate I was a Nazi? My father served in the war. Well, great. I thank you for his service. He'd be turning in his grave if he saw you. Well, I guess it's a good thing he's gone then, because I don't want to cause him any grief.
Right.
So it was a surreal experience. Now, here's the thing, Russ. These people, one of the things I asked these folks was, you're here. I would ask this. So you're here because you have the First Amendment rights that allows you to come here and be heard. Absolutely, I have my right to be heard. Now, does Steve Bannon have a right to come here and be heard? No. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. You can be here, but he can't. He can exercise his First Amendment rights, but he needs to do it on the other side of the world.
What?
You do know the other. Yes. Now you do know the other side of the world is not United States. Well, of course it isn't, because he belongs in Russia. Well, you do know Russia's not exactly on the other side, but. And
by the
then
way, he didn't take money from the Russians. Hillary and Bill did, but not Steve Bannon.
Now, by the way, we also ran into Antifa Man. This is Marvel's new superhero.
Yes, I guess.
And you'll see him tomorrow in the video. Antifa Man, he was impressive. I asked Antifa Man, what does fascism mean? Well, he wasn't sure. So then I did ask Antifa Man, do you know where Antifa started? Well, no. How am I supposed to know where Antifa started? Let me help you, Antifa Man. Antifa started, it was created by a guy by the name of Stalin.
What?
Stalin is who created Antifa.
Is that right? I did not know
that is true.
Yeah.
Yes. So what happened?
By the way, for folks who don't know, Mark Young is like a super genius and really smart guy and stuff. So if he says something, you believe it. I'm just telling you.
So where Antifa really came from, Antifa is the anti-fascist group. And where it originally came from was you had Stalin promoting his form of communism, and then you had Hitler, which was promoting his form of communism,
right,
which was fascism. So folks, you have to understand, fascism is not on the far right. Fascism is on the far left with socialism, with communism. So Stalin wanted to come up with a way of making fascism not cool, so he came up with Antifa. And Antifa was interesting because it was completely made out of the Stalin propaganda machine, and it had no basis. So Antifa there were no founding principles, there were no goals of Antifa. It was the sole purpose of Antifa was to argue that Stalinist communism was superior to Hitler fascism. So what these people are doing when they're Antifa is they're promoting a communist party. Now, by the way, Russ, you know that the big Antifa thing that never was, this Saturday where they were protesting in 20 cities?
Yeah, that was supposed to be a big deal. What happened?
Well, first off, none of the sessions were all set to start at 1 p.m. because it doesn't want to get up early for these things.
Right.
But once it started, it was going to go on 24/7 until the fascist Trump-Pence regime came down, and they all ended about 2 hours. So the biggest turnout was in L.A. They had 2,000 people. One city had 0. Austin, which is a very liberal city, had 18 people show up. Cleveland had 50. It was a nothing event. But
I guess George Soros' checks didn't bounce, I guess, huh?
Well, his checks made it to the printer because when we were, so this is interesting, when we were at this rally today, first off, and you've been at this for a long time, these are people that are here screaming that they are protesting hate speech.
Right.
So I'm going to protest hate speech by screaming obscenities and hateful things at you, because I'm not even sure how that makes sense.
And they do, and it's all obscenities. They can't have a clean conversation that would be FCC approved.
There is no dialogue.
No.
There is no dialogue going on. When we first started questioning them, they would engage, but then as I kept pressing for answers, that's when they started getting upset.
They started figuring you were smart, so you must be a conservative. You couldn't be, CNN asking intelligent questions.
You bring up a really good point, because they did figure that out. So they must have figured out, well, wait a minute, this guy's asking us poignant questions. There's something wrong.
And one of the ones I saw a guy, and your videos are on your Twitter feed at, Mark Young Truth?
Mark Young Truth.
On Twitter.
Yes, Mark Young Truth and at Chuck Woolery.
Okay. What I found interesting is as you're talking, this guy goes, Yeah, did you serve in Vietnam? It's like, what?
No, I wasn't old enough to serve in Vietnam.
Yeah, you're a draft dodger. I mean,
I considered going to Vietnam. I would have been, 8 when it started, and 12 when it ended, or
if we
13.
want to play that game, and they always, first of all, and then you went, did you serve? Well, no, but they just didn't call my number. Well, you could have volunteered.
That's right.
And again, if you want to play a game, my father was killed in Vietnam. Does that mean I have the shield of Captain America and nothing can touch me now because my father gave his life? No. You
could get the shield of Captain Antifa,
yes,
which, by the way, was a big badge with a fist with the rainbow flag over it. And he got very upset because he was proving to me that it was not just any old Antifa.
Yeah.
It was the transgender, gay, LGBTQ Antifa.
And can I be honest, Mark? I really don't want to see a fist with the that activity, but that's me. To each his own. But that's just not something that I want to see. Did you feel in danger at all? I mean, did they? Because the other thing I saw was somebody was trying to talk to you, and as somebody was trying to talk to you, everybody else would start screaming, "Don't talk to him! Don't talk!" Right?
So. Yeah, there's about 300 people. And what had happened, Russ, is at first we had kind of open area we were interviewing. And then when they figured out who we were, they started surrounding us. And you'll notice in the videos that these guys have some really long banners, like rolled out paper.
Okay.
And the police were like across the street and on the edges. So they started circling us with these long banners and trying to trap us in the middle where the police wouldn't see them.
What?
Yes, there was about 300 people. They got us in the center. They started, hitting my cameraman. They started kicking me in the legs. Then
they actually were kicking you?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
everybody, please, you
did.
got to do me a favor right now. You got to share this video right now. You got to tell everybody on your page, they've got to hear the truth. There are all these people, the Antifa folks, they're just out there and they're trying to stop hate and stop the Klan and start fascism. And boy, that all sounds great when you find out it's a lie. And they're physically assaulting Mark Young. This is not a guy that's going to go out there and beat anybody or cause trouble. He just wanted to ask questions. Please, right now, you've got to share this video and give us some thumbs up, some hearts, whatever. We need your interaction. We've got to get this video out. So please, the only way we can do it is if you let people know on your pages right now, share the video. Mark, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Tell this. So they're kicking you and hiding from the police.
Well, the good news is they appeared to be, somewhat emaciated. Yeah, that and emaciated vegans.
Okay.
So, so none of them looked very healthy. They looked very frail. The one guy kicked me in the back of the leg and lost his balance when his foot hit me.
Well, you are a manly man, so I can understand that.
I thought that was funny. He actually kicked my leg and he lost his balance, and I just kind of looked back at him. So
did you want to hit him? I mean, I would have hit him.
Yeah, it was difficult.
Yeah.
It was difficult.
Okay.
But I'm holding the microphone. There's people that are trying to hit my cameraman. I'm swatting people back while we're still trying to do the interview. So finally, they wrapped around us. And that's when they were trying to trap us. There was 4 people in our group. And so I finally raised my hand. I was keeping an eye on where the police were located. And as you know, I used to be a cop, and I kind of know what cops do. They'll kind of stand back and try to stay out of something like this.
Okay.
Why
would they want to stay out of something like that? Why would they not want to get involved and protect you, protect and serve? That's their job, isn't it?
Well, they'll get in the middle of something if they think someone's endangered.
Okay.
So these guys were surrounding us so the cops couldn't see us. So I found an opening where 2 of the cops were, and I kind of picked my hand up and I pointed right at the cops. And so I kind of did this.
Like Babe Ruth saying you're going for the home run?
No, I pointed at him this way, okay. and I went like this.
Okay.
And they got it. And it took 8 police officers to get to us.
Wow.
So figure that out. Now, it took 8 cops. The cops were having to push these people down and literally having to move people physically.
So they were assaulting the poor protesters who just wanted to stop you Klan member from saying your piece.
And it took 8 police to get to us, and they escorted us out of the center of, the storm. But Did I feel endangered at any one point? I didn't feel there was anything there that we couldn't cope with, but we were certainly in a position where people were kicking and pushing and pointing at us, and we're grabbing the camera. And like my cameraman had a set of headphones on. Some guy kept trying to rip the headphones off of his head.
What?
But these are all loving people that are there just to be heard, Rusty. Because they're there to fight hate speech.
Right. Did anybody have a cogent argument? I mean, you're pretty good at saying, okay, you had an interesting point. Did anybody have any fair points?
There was one guy that I interviewed who he had the point that some of the tweets that the president has made to Little Rocket Man were unpresidential. And I certainly see that somebody could have an opinion of that.
Right. But you see what's happening right now with Trump in his Asian trip. He's been doing the carrot and the stick. So he's been teasing them and taunting them, getting their attention. Now he's going over there and being buddy-buddy, and they're eating it up. It's working.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Russ, I was asking people, I was asking, so is President Trump a racist? Yes. What has he said that was racial? Come on, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. No, I'm not kidding you. Could you please tell me what he has said that makes him a racist? And then the big thing that several of these people defaulted to was the travel ban. So my question to them was, do you know who created, first off, do you know who there were 6 countries in the travel ban. Do you know what percentage of Muslims that the travel ban would prevent from coming to the United States for a period of 90 days? No one knew the answer to that. So I helped them. I said, the answer is 13%.
Okay.
I said, when we go through the list of 6 countries, do you know who put the 6 countries on the list?
I do.
No one knew that.
Really?
So I explained to them that one of those countries was put on by President Carter, 2 of those countries was put on by President Clinton, and the last 3 were put on by Barack Obama.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Did they just think you were lying to them?
Yeah, but Trump's the one that went after it. So then I went another question. I said, what else? It's the way he's rounding up undocumented workers and throwing them out of the country. I go, well, those would actually be called illegal aliens. But I said, let me ask you a question. Who rounded up more illegal aliens per month, Barack Obama or President Trump? Well, you and I know President Trump is the one who's out rounding them up.
Right.
So I would explain to these friendly protesters who were very interested in what I had to say. They were very open to the truth.
Is that right? They were?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Yeah.
Are you being facetious?
I'm being completely facetious.
Okay, they didn't want to hear it.
So I explained to them that on average, President Obama threw 20,000 people a month out of the country. President Trump has currently been averaging 16,500 people a month.
Yeah, he's got to up that. You know why they're not listening to you, Mark? I think they have an issue, and it's something that we can help with. And I think we are uniquely qualified to help many of these liberals. A lot of them, as you know, hygiene is a problem, but this isn't really a hygiene issue. My guess is a lot of them have wax in their ears. And so,
you know what?
Yes?
That would explain, because several of them kept talking right next to my head with a bullhorn.
Is that right? They couldn't
hear. That would explain it, because they probably need a bullhorn to be able to hear. That's why they kept carrying the damn bullhorns. I thought they were just trying to make sure everybody heard them.
No, and we are able to help that. And maybe, Mark, we can help bring American unity by bringing to the country and to the world Wax RX. It is the system that can clean your ears at home like the system doctors use, isn't it, Mark? You know all about Wax RX.
It is. I will jump in here. Wax RX is an awesome product.
Yeah.
Made by a terrific company. What a wonderful, it's a woman who made this. It's doctor created, American made it. And Wax RX, folks, is simply this. These are the people who make the wax cleaning kits that is in nearly every doctor's office. So when you buy the kit, you get the drops that go in your ears. But then you have this pump bottle, and the pump bottle is a very specific device. It's not a spray bottle. It is a pump bottle that has this very specific pressure with the tips on it. And the key to getting the wax out of your ears is water volume and water pressure. So where you put drops in of these other products and you squirt a little water in, it doesn't work. It takes an enormous amount of water to get the wax out. And Wax RX does that, and it does it perfectly. Perfect.
And you know how I know? About 2 weeks ago, 2 o'clock in the morning, I do get this about twice a year. I get wax in my ears. I got to go to the doctor. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, it's like, oh, it's awful. I got to go to the doctor. I mean, wait a second. I got Wax RX. And I went and I did it, and it worked faster. Heck, it was faster doing it at home than it was even driving to the doctor. I save a couple $100. So it's a great product.
Yeah. Chuck Woolery, my co-host, has an earwax issue. I'm, divulging his various medical problems.
Wait a second. This
for the world to hear about.
You're telling me that Mr. Superstar, good-looking Hollywood celebrity, let me put him back up there, Chuck Woolery has an earwax problem? That good-looking guy? Come on.
He does. He uses Wax RX. And if you want to get Wax RX, by the way, go to waxrx.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your own promo code?
Yeah, Rusty.
So your promo code is Rusty.
Yeah, you can
use the promo code Rusty.
RUSTY.
And you get free ship. Isn't he a handsome devil? Look at him.
Thank you. You're looking at Chuck Woolery. What a handsome devil.
I am. I just can't take my eyes away from him now.
So, do yourself a favor. Get Wax RX. I'm telling you, it worked great for me and works for Chuck Woolery, and it can work for you. Waxrx.com. Use the code word ME, Rusty. All right.
I should have taken that with me. I probably might not have needed all those bullhorns.
Probably not. That would have been nice. You could have saved yourself. All right. Well, so you didn't see any way to, as Jerry says, prayers that God will stop the hate. Curtis says it's like arguing to a wall with the density of a rock. Brenda says, you're right. They don't know, and they do not care. Why? Do you see any way, and when you went down there to talk to them, to maybe turn things around and move things in any kind of direction?
Here's the thing, folks. We're not going to change these people's minds. When we're down there talking to these people, we're dealing with people that are running on pure emotion. And Russ, you and I have talked about this in the past. When they take brain images of people, so you take somebody and you put them in a device called an fMRI, a functional MRI device. And when you take a conservative and you put them into a functional MRI, and you show them, you have a TV screen, so you show them pictures of armed citizens, of BLM, of all these different things, and you watch to see what part of the brain lights up. On a conservative, the part of the brain that lights up is the part of the brain that does things like math. Okay? When you take someone who is a, self-proclaimed liberal, you put them in the functional MRI machine, you show them the exact same images. The part of the brain that lights up is the part of the brain that would be involved with art. So, Rusty, think how many artists, and there's a few, there's always an exception to everything, but think about Hollywood. Think about how to the left Hollywood is. Now, by the way, they're actors, they're artists.
Right.
Musicians, they're artists. So we're talking to people who literally are hardwired to see the world through an emotional lens. And conservatives are hardwired, and again, there's shades of gray, but conservatives are hardwired to see the world through an analytical or a rational lens. So literally, when a conservative wants to say X, Y, and Z, and this person is saying this, it's not going to work. When I told these people that Antifa was started by Joseph Stalin, and why were they supporting the work of Joseph Stalin? Well, they just exploded.
I don't even know why that would bother them. I would think they would like Joseph Stalin, if they're being honest.
Well, but nobody wants to be attacked. Remember, this is that whole calling us fascist thing.
Right. They don't want to be communists, even though they are.
Right. They don't want to be attached to a murderer.
Right.
Joseph Stalin was a murderer. Well, yes, he was. I agree with you, but he was also the creator of Antifa. And you're carrying his tradition. So they don't want to hear this stuff. They don't want to hear it. Rusty, we're talking about the one of the big things, which is police officers gunning down African Americans.
Right.
Okay. Except when you look at police officers have killed 193 African Americans so far this year. They have killed well over two times that of white people. Now, when you take white people, black people, and then you adjust it for the crime rate, you are more than 2 times likely to be shot and killed by a police officer if you are a white criminal than you are if you are a black criminal. So statistically, you're safer.
Right.
You're less likely to be shot if you're a black criminal.
You know, it's interesting, Mark, because when I was in Romania last week, and I met with a friend of mine, he had an 18-year-old son, and he never wants to go to America ever. He speaks perfect English, but never wants to go to America because it's such a racist country, because a black man cannot walk down the street of America without risk of being shot by a police officer. Now, by the way, after he mentioned that, I started paying attention. Do you know how many, and I guess you would call them Romanian or African Romanians, not African Americans, but African Romanians? Do you know how many African Romanians I saw in 8 days?
No idea.
0, not one. And I looked everywhere. It is a country that looks exactly the same. They're all white guys that are Christians, mostly Catholic in this country, but he's worried about the racism in America, that a black man can't walk down the street without getting shot by a cop.
And it's easy to understand that. The reason that is happening, Russ, is because the first ever 24-hour news in the U.S., as you know, was CNN.
Mm-hmm.
CNN has all the long-term international news contracts.
Right.
So 2 weeks ago, I was in Barbados for a wedding.
Ooh, Mr. Fancy.
And, well, absolutely. Well, the only news that was available in Barbados was CNN.
Huh.
The CNN International.
Yes, which is lousy, even worse than American.
Now, if you watch that, Russ, now I'm sitting here looking at this, and I'm in here and I'm thinking, my God, this is the only access to American news other parts of the world have. If you would have watched CNN International 2 weeks ago, you would have thought that our president was going to be arrested at any moment and hung for treason.
Come on. Really?
Well, yes, I'm not kidding. So when you look at that and you say, well, this is what the rest of the world is seeing. The rest of the world is seeing that we're gunning people down in the streets, that our cops have run wild, that our president is a Nazi. And it's no wonder that people like you are speaking of, your friend's family in Romania are afraid to come to, America.
Right.
My father's family is from Canada, and I have relatives that are 20 minutes over the border and they're afraid to come over here.
Really?
And absolutely. And I've had people in Windsor. Now, understand that to Detroit and Windsor, it's a bridge apart. It's the city next door.
Okay.
There are people there who will ask me, well, what's it like? I mean, do you see a lot of dead bodies? I mean, do you see a lot of killing? I'm not kidding. And I will usually tell them,
wow,
it depends. At high noon, we usually see a lot of dead bodies. Because that's when most of it happens, when we call each other out whenever we're angry. We will have shootouts in the street. But, once noon's over and the street sweepers come in and clean it up, it's not usually that bad.
Right. All right. Mark Young, we can find your show, Blunt Force Truth, at iTunes, Stitcher. The website is bluntforcetruth.com, right?
Absolutely. And Rusty, if I can, tell everyone that if you go to the new bluntforcetruth.com, now there's a new website will be out probably within a week.
Really?
But if you go to bluntforcetruth.com, you'll see a button there that says trending news.
Okay.
And our trending news is becoming very popular. We're just about approaching 1 million monthly readers now.
Wow.
And people are loving it. Folks, the kind of stuff that we're doing with news is we're doing the stories that the other outlets won't give you.
Okay. Well, I got Chuck up there so he could feel like he's part of the.
There he is.
Does he have the beard? Last time I saw him, he had the beard. Does he still have the beard?
He had it
goatee?
today, yeah. But regardless, he's just so devastatingly good looking, isn't he?
Do we need to go get that flag back for you? On top
of that, he is a magnificent racist.
What?
Well, he's a racist, the same as I am, same as you are.
What are you talking about?
You're a white guy.
Right, but I'm not a racist.
No, all white people are racist. I learned that today at the protest.
No, see, you're a real racist. You have a race car.
Well, that's true. If you have a race car and you drive it, that would make you a racist. But yes, we did learn that due to white privilege, we have this special DNA. So we did learn something. We have this special DNA that makes all white men racist.
I did not know that. I mean, I know that's a thing with the what is it? It's not the it's on the tip of my the Nation of Islam. Nation of Islam. They believe that white people were created to keep black folks down.
Well, this is one of the great things.
Yeah.
Folks, this is one of the great reasons why you never want to miss an episode of the Rusty Humphries Show, because
never.
Where else will you learn breakthrough science like racist DNA in white people? That's
true.
Well, you could go to CNN.
Right. Now, by the way, speaking of breakthrough science, I'm going to let you go. You've got a new show coming up, too, Living Beyond 120. Is that coming up soon? This is a big deal. You actually believe that human beings can live to be 120 years old, which sounds kooky.
Well, it doesn't sound as kooky as running out and supporting, Joseph Stalin.
Right.
But, Russ, we do. We have a new show that's going to be coming out. I'm going to be co-hosting it with one of America's great longevity doctors, an amazing doctor by the name of Dr. Jeffrey Gladden.
Mm-hmm.
The show is going to be called Living Beyond 120. And the 120 comes from the fact that we have certain, I'm going to say, programming in our DNA, which is called telomeres. And science shows that humans are actually programmed to live to be about 115 to 120 years old.
Huh.
Now, for my friends who happen to enjoy the Bible, if you want to go to Genesis 6:2, it says, "My spirit shall not strive with man forever, but his days shall be numbered 120 years."
So it's actually in the Bible saying that your body can last about 120 years.
Yes, it is. And it only took medical science 6,000 years to find out that the Bible was right.
Now, Jody says, I don't want to live to be 120.
Well, here's the key to that. That's what most people say. But the issue is, if you were, so I'm going to ask a question was that Jody?
Yeah, with an I.
If Jody with an I, Jody, if you were 90 years old right now, and at 90 years old, you felt like a very vibrant and healthy 50-year-old, would you then say, well, I've been here long enough, I'm going to go? No, you would continue to live. The idea of living beyond 120 is not just to be 100 or 120 years old. It's to make 100 the new 50. Think about, Russ, could you imagine if we had 30 or 50 more years of George Washington, of Ben Franklin, of Thomas Jefferson, of Thomas Edison?
Right.
What would the world be like with 30 more years of Albert Einstein?
Or Steve Jobs, because Apple is really just putting out crap now since he passed.
That's what our goal is. And our goal is to make this available to everyone, not just the wealthiest people, but to put this ability in the hands of every person.
Mm-hmm. And so your podcast, I know you had a lot of the top scientists on the show already, but you haven't put it out there for people to hear. Is it coming out soon?
Show will be out. We'll be ready. It'll be out within the next 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay.
And you're right. We have some amazing guests. We have, Dr. Gregory Fay. We have Dr. Terry Grossman. We have Dr. Aubrey de Grey. And you may not know some of these names, folks, but these are the people who are breaking ground on medical science of things that you will be amazed by. Mm-hmm. I mean, now, we're going to be discussing stuff about being able to imagine this, Russ. We're going to be talking about a technology where you could, if you lost a finger, you could grow it back.
Wow.
This exists.
Now, I went with you to this, it was a thing called RadFest, which is a convention of people that believe that they not only can live to 120, there's some of them that think they never will die. A little bit of a
They're
stretch.
Optimistic.
But we were playing kind of a game, and it was, these are the doctors that are supposed to be in the longevity medicine. How old are you? And you were asking what are the things that they did to live longer. And there was a young woman, and she was doing stem cells, and and she's talking, and I'm thinking, okay, 28, maybe 30, because I know what she does. And she was talking more and more. She was talking about all this scientific stuff. I'm trying to figure out how she jammed all that in 30 years. And then at the end, we asked, how old are you? And she was 53. And it was like, whoa, the stem cell, that thing works.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And this particular scientist, she was self-injecting herself with her own stem cells every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it kind of helps when you run a stem cell
right.
clinic, so it's economical. But if you remember, when she came up, she was actually sitting there, and I walked up to you and I said, "What's that young woman there?" And you said, "Well, she's Dr. So-and-so." And I'm like, "She's what, 25?
I know.
What does she know?"
Yeah.
Well, you saw Dr. Grossman when Dr. Grossman was on, and how powerful he is. Remember Dr. Life? Look at the kind of condition of Dr. Life.
Dr. Life, you know that you've seen him on in magazines covered. He's the guy that's got the 80-year-old face, but like the 30-year-old body. He's all pumped up with the washboard stomach and stuff. So he's on the show too. So it's coming out,
and that's legit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, folks, you should know this. Dr. Life backed down when he met Rusty Humphries because Rusty, Dr. Life is known for those ripped abs, and Rusty called him out. So if you remember,
I had to pull his shirt up, and then I pulled mine up just to see which one was better, and it was a toss-up.
It was.
It was a toss-up.
No, you could wash your clothes on Rusty Humphries' abs, folks. It's like a washboard.
Yeah, that's the term I would use. All right, Mark. So, Living Beyond 120, we'll talk about it again when we get closer so folks can know where to go. But the website's not up or anything yet, but you're getting close.
The website's up.
Oh, it is? Okay.
LivingBeyond120.com.
Okay, great. Mark Young, BluntForceTruth.com. And again, the podcast with Chuck Woolery, you can find it at BluntForceTruth.com and at iTunes and Stitcher and any other place you can find a great podcast. Mark, great job today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Rusty. And folks, watch for that video tomorrow. You're going to see stuff that is just going to shock you.
And we can find it where?
It will be on BluntForceTruth.com tomorrow late in the morning. We just got to get all the video and edit it, but you're going to see stuff that is just going to shock you.
Okay, Mark Young. Thank you, brother. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Russ.
Take care, my friend. All right, that's Mark Young, and a great job he does, as always, and a good dude. And it's just a pleasure to have him and good people like that. And he's one of the biggest supporters of talk radio. There are many talk radio shows. He owns an advertising agency, too. And that's why I was talking to him about the products and why he knew him so well. But if it wasn't for that guy, Mark, guy you just saw, a lot of your favorite talk radio shows would not be on the air because of his company and the shows that he supports. So do me a favor, if you would. Not only support my sponsors like Probiogen, right? Great. And Wax RX, right? And I'm going to fall over. And the Zona Plus. Support all those great. ZonaPlus.com, by the way. If you use my name Rusty, you get $50 off. But, he's a good man, and he's doing the right things for America, and we need more people like that. So please support him. Go to BluntForceTruth.com and take a listen to that podcast, if you would, please. That's it for this one. I'm here every night, 9 p.m. in the East and 6 p.m. in the West. Do me a favor, if you have not done it, would you please share this video? Facebook has done a very good job of trying to squash this one, probably because I used the word Antifa in the description. Rusty, what are my thoughts on Kevin Spacey? Well, I mean, first of all, there was a story today that he molested or tried to molest an 18-year-old kid. The story, I mean, 20 years ago or 30 years ago, he went and tried to touch a guy. I don't know. All of these stories. Well, back in 1974, I think this guy might have hit on me. I mean, when you're talking legitimate rape or legitimate you can't get a job because somebody won't do anything unless you let them touch a piece of you, yeah, that should be a big deal. But I don't know. We'll get into that more next time, Randy. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, it was 30 years ago. It was 30 years ago today. Kevin Spacey tried to touch and play. Although it seems like there's more. And, did you hear the latest? This one is sad because I like him, but I don't know. He actually does Charlie Sheen's in the news today. What a shock, Charlie Sheen. According to news reports, Charlie Sheen may have done stuff to Corey Haim back when Corey Haim was a little boy. Now Corey Haim committed suicide. But the other Corey Feldman, is now naming names, and I guess Charlie Sheen might be one of those names. I hope not. I know Charlie's been in a lot of trouble, and I've hung out with him. No, I've never done dope or women with him. But it's just, you know, it's a mess. The whole world's upside down. Oh, and Jeffrey Tambor, I saw that. Something happened with him today. I didn't even see the whole story. It's like, I'm tired of hearing it. And, oh, wait a second. There's sexual harassment going on in Hollywood? What? What? I can't believe it. Hollywood? You mean that's not the place of moral virtue? What? All right, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West. Thank you very much, Right Wing News. Thank you, Liberty One TV. Thank you, ProBiogen. Thank you, Wax RX. And most importantly, thank you for watching. And thank you for listening to the podcast. I really, 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 really do appreciate you. May God bless you. May God bless America. I'm Rusty Humphries, and this is the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. Oh, and thanks, Mark Young and Chuck Wooler. You guys rock.